Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's talk about what is happening to the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So as per usual, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, etc., I do share my thoughts on the charts, etc. Every single day, the market is open. In my membership section down below, the description has the link to it for just $3 a month. You get access to all those thoughts, mainly on Tesla stocks. Sometimes I'll share with other stocks as well that I find other opportunities on. Or for $5 a month, you get access to all of that plus NVIDIA daily updates as well. So anyway, jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day down 1.4%, unfortunately, closing at $137.5-ish per share, which, is not ideal, but the market was, of course, down today. So you can argue NVIDIA just kind of following the market, to be completely honest with you. Now, what does this mean moving forward though, right? Is this bad? Good? Like, what is going on with NVIDIA, right? Yesterday, we saw a pretty decent move up. We mentioned how there's still some caution to be advised because, well, if you go back to the daily chart here, the market bias, unfortunately has turned green, right? The market bias has absolutely turned green, and the moving averages have, of course, flipped kind of bearish here a little bit, right? With the 9 or 10 EMA, the green one essentially crossing below the red one. That's a little bit of a bearish crossover, not the most ideal thing in the world, getting some resistance around that area as well. Despite us closing above the 50 EMA. So, there's some good news here, but there's also some bad news essentially, right? So we want to be a little bit careful with how this plays out, right? And that's what we mentioned. We mentioned it's getting ready, but it's not there just yet. Well, we are printing something pretty interesting on the daily, which is going to be this right here. We are printing 3 inside day candles in a row, right? Where we had this one massive one, of course, just a couple of days ago, inside day yesterday, and then inside day today of yesterday's candles. So that's a lot of pressure being built up and compressed, if you will, on NVIDIA right here. And it's going to unleash pretty soon, right? Unless we happen to print another inside day candle tomorrow, it is going to unleash relatively soon, maybe even tomorrow, but probably early next week in a specific direction. And the way you determine the direction, the easiest kind of way, in my opinion, to give you the earliest potential signal, and I say potential because nothing is guaranteed, is let's say tomorrow we break above or below today's top or low price range, right? So today's price range, the top was what? The top, where is it? High, 138.44, and the low was 135.8. So essentially above or below, even just price action alone above or below, but especially a daily close above or below one of those two prices, should give a pretty good advantage to that respective side for a continuation in, well, that respective direction, right? So let's see how that plays out, right? NVIDIA could be still setting up something pretty spicy here, right? It could be setting up something very nice, and it could be a beautiful move to the upside, but unfortunately there is an equal risk, in my opinion, of it being a move to the downside, right? And the fact that we're in between the moving averages like this doesn't really help. And the fact that, there's no real clear indication, in my opinion. It's not really helping the case, right? For instance, if you go to the 1 hour chart, you can see, the 1 hour chart is essentially setting up a nice little wedge, essentially, right? And, it's towards the bottom end of the wedge. It's a little bit concerning, right? But we want to wait for either this wedge to break, or at the very least, wait for those inside day candles to essentially break the range that is currently getting very tight in. So an early depiction of that also could be a break of the wedge that we just saw on the 1 hour above or below. That could be an early tell, and then better confirmation is constantly breaking these highs right here. For instance, breaking yesterday's high will be better confirmation, and so on and so forth. But like I said, easiest confirmation, or at least the earliest confirmation, will just be simply 1 hour, this little wedge here, or daily breaking today's higher low tomorrow, or maybe even Monday if we print another inside day candle, which is possible. So that's the way I'm kind of looking at NVIDIA right now moving forward, right? Now, if we zoom out over here, again, one thing I don't like, I'll be completely honest, is I do not like that this market bias has turned red. I'm not a fan of that, right? You can see it's been pretty accurate for the most part, right? You can see here, whenever it's red, the stock has been a little bit, bearish, let's just say. It's been selling off a bit. Every time it's been green, it's been very, very bullish. It's been on a beautiful looking, trend upwards. Nice little red here. Stock sells off very aggressively. Green here, this one was a little bit of a trap, right? This one's a little bit of a trap because it turned green while it was consolidating up here into what looked like it was a bull flag. Unfortunately, this was a bit of a trap. So sometimes, it's not perfect, right? Not every indicator is not perfect. Sometimes it is what it is. But the point is the fact that ever since it did turn green over here, and this was pretty much one of the best dip buys that you could have done, it's been just rocketing. It's been absolutely rocketing, making higher highs, higher lows, and it's been pretty much good to go. My concern right now is the fact that, what we did instead was, after setting all those higher highs, higher lows, which I mentioned many times, we set a lower low, and then we set a lower high. Now we're, of course, getting compressed a bit, right? That's fine, not a problem. We are getting compressed. But I don't like the fact that, we did set this lower high and lower low. That makes me a little bit concerned, and the market bias turning red makes me a little bit concerned. I'm not going to lie. Not the best thing I'd want to be seeing right now. So let's see how this plays out. Let's wait for these compressions to, alleviate, I guess you can say. You can also take this from this little candle right here. You can also draw, grab this one here. I put this candle or this line on top of the other line, so it's a little bit difficult. There we go. Right, you can also argue the fact that, it's kind of looking something like this, where we have this nice little resistance channel up here, and we have this support little trend line right here. So if I remove this one for now, it'll look a little cleaner, right? Looks something like this. You can also draw something like this and just wait for the price to break above or below one of these support trend lines, and that will most likely depict that direction. As an example, let's take a look as an example of when this happened on another stock that so far has provided, some pretty aggressive selling pressure after breaking. AMD obviously had this massive trend line on the weekly, right? Massive trend line, was also getting very, very tight. And then we unfortunately broke down below, right? We broke down below. We held it. You can see here, though, we held the support line many, many times. Let me go ahead and bring this up, right? Many times we held this and we bounced off of it essentially 3 times in a row. And these are weekly candles as well. And then we finally went down below, and we obviously sold off pretty aggressively just off that alone, right? So just off of the break, we sold from the break to the lowest point. About 7% almost. That's a lot, right? And based on this weekly time frame, if NVIDIA can't get back above, this could get much uglier. So that's just an example of what it means when you break below certain trends. What the hell is this? This looks kind of funny. Anyways, so that's kind of the main thing I'm eyeballing for NVIDIA moving forward, right? And that's probably the main thing you should be watching, right? This little situation that's happening right here. And again, it's hard to pick a direction. I guess if I had to pick, maybe slightly bearish, but it's hard to pick a direction here because there's no obvious tell, right? The fact that the market bias is red is definitely not a good sign, but it can easily just turn back to green, right? If this breaks to the upside, this absolutely will turn back to green, and hey, problem solved, right? Problem solved. So this is why ultimately at the end of the day, price action is what really matters. All the indicators ultimately can be overall useless. Price action and just looking at the candles, support, resistance, etc., is by far probably the most useful thing you can possibly do. And right now, price action is very undecided. So we should just simply wait for this to determine where it wants to go with not only the inside day candles, but essentially this kind of situation that we find ourselves in this little tightening range overall that you can see as well. So yeah, all that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you. Let's quickly take a look at options flow, of course, before we end off this video. Let's see what's happening over there. Needs to reload quickly. Give it a reload. Nope. See, we just turned online for some reason. Yeah, the bulls are the bulls are still stepping in. The bears are definitely getting a little bit more cocky here. The bulls are, still dominating the bears, but the bears, especially in the morning, very bearish, obviously coming in very aggressively. But the bulls towards the second half of the day, definitely starting to take over once again. And pretty much as the market closed, 1.1 million call came in for January 3rd, not too far out, right? Just under a month away. So clearly someone's expecting a move back up. It is in the money slightly, but nonetheless, someone is clearly feeling a little bit bullish here on NVIDIA. So let's see how this plays out. But I think ultimately, again, all indicators aside, all that nonsense aside, again, price action and trend and really just candlestick patterns, just all these things is really all that matters. So right now, I'm not gonna lie, it requires patience, really. I think ultimately it just requires some patience. So let's see this out. Let's see where it wants to go, because I do think once it breaks out of this direction, out of this congestion, this could determine the next direction for at least the next week, if not potentially even more. Again, don't forget, if we lose 130, I think NVIDIA gets very bearish. So you definitely don't want to lose 130. Let me go ahead and do this quickly. 1 second. I did a lot of changes. I want to go back to where I had that trend line at the bottom. Give me one. There we go. This is the way I had it. Beautiful, right? So yeah, watch for that moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think down below. And as usual, I'll see you for the next one. Peace.